Activity of any kind is dangerous to me, and that's because of post-exertional malaise or PEM. You cannot understand myalgic encephalomyelitis without understanding PEM. I've had ME for 18 years, and since then, every time I do anything, I have to consider the potential consequences of PEM. In this video, I will explain to you what post-exertional malaise is, how it affects someone with myalgic encephalomyelitis, and what that means for you as someone who knows a person with ME. And at the end, I'll share 2 ways you can modify your expectations of people with ME for the good of all involved. If I had to explain PEM as succinctly as possible, I would say this. Post-exertional malaise is injury caused by overexertion. Notice I said injury, whereas the usual descriptions would say symptom exacerbation. I'll make the reason for this word choice clear later, but first, let's break down what post-exertional malaise means. The exertion in post-exertion refers to overexertion, meaning exerting yourself more than you should. This exertion can be physical, such as walking, mental, such as reading, emotional, such as feeling excitement, or sensory exposure, such as being around loud noises. What may surprise you, though, is how easily overexertion can occur. Whilst going for a run would certainly cause PEM, so can digesting food, smelling perfume, or thinking any thoughts at all, especially for those with more severe cases of the condition. To make things worse, PEM often doesn't occur immediately after overexertion. It can take up to 72 hours. This makes it hard to avoid, as you don't always know when you've done too much, but is also the cause of much misunderstanding among others. They see someone with ME doing an activity and appearing fine, thus they reasonably assume that this person is able to repeatedly do this activity without harm. What you don't see is the delayed harm they experience, often in bed, riddled with a wide variety of awful and debilitating symptoms. PEM can last only a few days, but can also last weeks, months, or even cause permanent deterioration of health. In fact, repeated PEM from doing a program of graded exercise therapy 10 years ago is the reason I am so severely unwell today. Let me give you a real example of PEM. I recently had a 1.5-hour phone call, something that is definitely outside my ability to safely do. During the call, the other person likely never noticed anything wrong with me, although towards the end I definitely had increased difficulty with word finding and memory recall, among other symptoms including muscle pain and a migraine. It took me 2 weeks to recover from the call, during the first few days of which my symptoms increased. I suffered muscle pain, exhaustion, increased cognitive impairment, more commonly known as brain fog, heart rates too high or too low, among many other symptoms. And here's the thing. The person on the other end of that phone call would have had no idea what the call cost me. So, going back to my describing PEM as injury instead of symptom exacerbation, here is why. Symptom exacerbation just lets you know that our pre-existing symptoms are worsened, which is, of course, true. But injury lets you know the real, long-term harm involved in PEM. Injuries come in all forms. Like a bruise, PEM may only last a few days. But there are worse forms of injury, ones that may leave you incapacitated for years or even lifelong. PEM can cause those too. Living with the risk of PEM means diligently practicing what we call pacing. Pacing means choosing what and how much you do in order to avoid PEM. In my opinion, it is the best tool we have in order to maximize our quality of life and minimize suffering and deterioration of health. Pacing is hard. After 18 years of illness, I still struggle with it. It doesn't just mean identifying what you can and cannot do, but also having the willpower to resist doing the things you want. Pacing requires that we miss out on many enjoyable parts of life. We miss out on time with friends or engaging in our hobbies. You even come to miss the things you never thought you would, like doing the dishes or tidying your living space. But with ME, less is truly more. This leads me to the 2 ways you can modify your expectations of someone with ME. Firstly, trust them. Their symptoms are invisible but real. If they say they cannot do a thing, believe them. For healthy people, it might be empowering to say, you can do it. But for someone with ME, this can be a very dangerous lie. PEM can cause real, long-term harm. And when you pressure us to overexert, you are pressuring us towards harm. Second, be understanding if we cancel on you. Our symptoms are unpredictable, and sometimes, often even, we have to cancel plans that we had every intention of following through on in order to avoid PEM. If we push through on a bad day, then the risk and severity of PEM is greatly increased. Pacing to maintain health is hard enough without external pressures and guilt provided by those around us. Any understanding and acceptance that you can offer us will be greatly appreciated, I assure you. If you found this video helpful, then please subscribe for future videos on how to understand those in your life with ME. My next video will explain that ME is not fatigue. It is a serious and complex multi-system illness